Okay, great. Hello, everybody. Nice to meet you. I'm very excited. It's my first time at the Hamburg HTML Meetup. And since most of you do not know me, let me introduce myself. One slide, hopefully. This is me, as you can see from this very outdated profile picture. And I'm living here. As you may have noticed, this dotted area is the shape of Hamburg. And since I grew up in Kiel, I'm kind of proud that I like Schleswig-Holstein and I'm living in Norderstedt. And yeah, technically this is Schleswig-Holstein, but practically it's Hamburg. And so it feels like I'm having the best of both worlds, you know, being the best Bundesland of the world, like we say on the one radio station, and being very close to the beautiful city, as they say, the other radio station. And I'm working here at the PPI again. Does anyone ever heard of PPI again? 2 people, okay. Yeah, we are kind of 800 developers or employees, not all of them developers, of course. And what we are doing, we are developing software for banks and insurances, and we have one special topic, it's about payments. And you never heard of us, which is good, because if payments fail, you will be in the news. And since we are not in the news, so payment works. Actually, we are the market leader in Europe. Whenever you do a transfer with your bank, that is done via our products. So, and sometimes I'm working in the home office, but sometimes I'm working in my office. And I go there as public train. And this takes me about 15 minutes. This will be important later on in this talk. Today we are going to talk about ARIA and reasons why we struggle so much with accessibility, like we have already introduced. So, and the reason why we do this is we have to look what does accessibility actually mean. And I think you may have already seen this, but yeah, let's look at this model of accessibility here again. There are these 7 senses of perception of how we can perceive the world of our environment. This is one dimension of accessibility and how we can measure accessibility. And the second dimension is the intensity. We have 4 levels, so to speak. And yeah, maybe you know the examples. If you are born as a blind person, you are here on the outer ring, you cannot see since the beginning of your life. And some people, they are blind, but not since the beginning of their life, so they acquired that blindness. That would be on the next circle here. And then you have temporary borders. You may have temporary borders, like for example, if your arm is broken and you cannot use the keyboard good enough, then you have barriers, accessibility, and the last one, yeah, here an example, if you are sitting in the subway and you want to consume a video or something like that, and you have earphones or broken earphones, whatever, yeah, then you cannot consume the video unless it has some subtitles. And at least this shows that all of us is affected. Accessibility is not about inclusion, it's about quality. This is why I want to define accessibility as a quality continuum with extremes that could never be reached, like this one. We have this continuum, and on the one side, we have applications with everybody you can imagine. On the other side, we have applications with no barriers at all. And you will not reach one of the extremes. There are maybe examples like if you are named Manuel Matuzovic and you try to build the most inaccessible application ever with a lighthouse score of 100%, to prove the limitation of automatic testing tools, that is a fair exception. You will be far here, and maybe you can find some exception on the other extreme as well if you have a very small application. And if you fulfill the requirements by the law that is now becoming official in June next year. It will be on this side of the border. If you have a certificate, it will be very close because it will test everything. And dealing with accessibility means that you know where these continuum are located with your application, with your website. And a very important thing is when we look at the effort to achieve a place here in this, we have three sections. In the first section, the effort is high with bad quality. And then we have this kind of hasty action here. Where you do not have to spend that much effort in, but you achieve better quality. And then at least the last part, you have to investigate more effort to become very accessible. This is what I'm going to show in this talk. And to understand this is we need to look at how web development usually works. Normally, it's kind of like this. You have a mock-up that someone creates, and then you as a developer, you look into the mock-up and you translate it to HTML, CSS, and you let the browser interpret your code, and the browser creates a DOM, and this is presented in some kind of way. And you look into the browser, compare and look. And this now was the prologue of the Lord of the Rings. And we now come to the situation where Galadriel says that they were all betrayed, for another ring was made. And if you can picture yourself as a developer running in this circle line and looking at the mock-up, coding stuff, let the browser do some stuff, interpret, create this DOM, and look at the result and compare and run in this circles, maybe you should also feel betrayed. Because what many people do not know is that beside this important tree, this DOM tree, the browser is creating another tree, and that is the accessibility tree. We have two trees in the browser, and this accessibility tree, assistive technology like this. And we can, this is derived from the DOM here, and we can adjust this tree with the language ARIA. ARIA is for shaping this tree. What is ARIA? I think you may have heard of ARIA, and you know the first rule. If you look into the internet, it says, don't use ARIA, use native HTML instead. This is kind of funny because the first rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about a Fight Club, but this is actually wrong. The real first rule of ARIA, as you can see on the W3C, is if you can, use native HTML. Will you say what ARIA stands for? What does ARIA stand for? Which internet application? And this is a difference, because if you look at this, here is a set of things we can express using HTML. This is the set. And we have ARIA, and there's an intersection between. Yeah, but we have things we only can express with ARIA. And so if you follow the first thing you can find on the internet, don't use ARIA, then it means you only use the stuff in the light blue area, not in the dark blue area, and that means you miss out some things. The second rule of ARIA is, okay, it's better to use no ARIA than bad ARIA. Of course, a literal conclusion is that we have to use ARIA in the way it is intended, and especially we use ARIA for this parts, but we cannot express with HTML. One example for this. We have this input field, and you may know that every input field needs a descriptive label to be accessible. And how can we achieve this? okay, we have some coding here. You see the name, and obviously the name is connected to the input. But if we are looking into the accessibility tree, and we can look into this PHP when we have tools, you see here that there's an error because the description is missing. And we can fix this using HTML because we can use the for attribute to connect the label element to this input element. And when we now look into the accessibility tree, we see that this text block here has a proper name, which is the name that is derived from the label. And so we do not have this error here. So this is what we should do, and this we should not do, because obviously this is more accessible. But what happens if we do not have a label? Some situations the designer says, no, this is obvious, and the context makes it clear that this is a search, you do not have to label this. Then you code this and you look into the accessibility tree and you see this error description here, and you have no way in HTML to fix it. And this is where ARIA steps in. We can use ARIA to fix this and add this ARIA attribute here with a proper label. And when we now look into the accessibility tree, we see that our requirement is fulfilled. And you may have noticed, okay, here's the same message as before, but there's a tiny detail. Here's a tree, it's a triangle, meaning this is just a warning, and here it's a circle, which is an arrow. So, and this example shows that connecting a label to an input field is possible in both languages. Nice intersection. And the first rule says, if you can, try to be in blue selection, in the light blue selection, in the light blue selection, and not in the dark blue section, if you can. But obviously, in this case, we cannot do so. Then we have to use ARIA. And then there are situations you only can express using ARIA. You cannot express using HTML. And here's a short example. We have a navigation with 3 entries. And the first entry here is marked as an active, meaning, okay, this is the current page where you are now on. And the problem here, that using this class attribute is something that you create, that is your semantic. There's no standard way of saying this is the active page in HTML. But you can use ARIA to describe that this link here is the current page. There's a standard. And even you can use this attribute as the CSS hookup to style this link, or whatever, to express for the site user that this is the current page where you're on. So this is a better solution than this, because here we're using standards that may be known by other developers, that are expressed to the accessibility tree. This is not, obviously, because it's not ARIA standard. And so this may have a positive impact on users that use assistive technology, and these technologies who set up on the accessibility tree. And this is an example where we are in these area. I call this, this is missing here. That is the yellow area. We should be in this area because this is not using this kind of stuff. Doesn't increase the effort. So being in the yellow area is the root thing. Now let's look what we are doing when we're in the red area. This is the area where we put put a lot of effort in our application, and we bring less quality stuff. This is an example I stole from Manuel. It's a famous button example, but I asked him, he said, it's okay, you can use it. So thank you for this. Yeah, you may have seen this example already. You have to implement this button. And many applications you may have seen do it like this. And then we find out, oh, okay, I cannot access this via keyboard, and we do some research. How can I make it focus able with a keyboard? And we find out, yeah, okay, I have to select tab index. And then, yeah, but it's not working. I cannot use the enter key, and then do some more research and say, okay, I do use a click handler, and then we find out it doesn't work spacing whatsoever. In the end, this is all bullshit. The better solution is we just go with a button, because we get all this stuff. So, and if you're not following these semantics, you're often in this red area, meaning you have a bad quality about accessibility, and you have more effort, because it's harder to maintain than the easy one. So, talking about ARIA and semantics, why is it important to use it? This is the area of elements we have in HTML. There are 140, if I counted right. And only 42 of them have a special area rule, a specific area rule that is not generic whatsoever. And so only 42 of these 140 elements map to a specific area rule. On the other side, we have 86 different area rules. But only 45 are natively mapped by HTML. You may wonder why there are 42 elements and there are 45. Some elements map to the same role, like unordered list and ordered list. There's no difference between them, so they are mapped to the same role. And then we have some elements here, like the input, depends on the type attribute, what kind of a role is matched. But you can see 40 other rules are left. They are not natively mapped, but all of them are there for a reason. So there's a purpose to use them. And if we ignore this, we fail in some cases of accessibility. So there's many power in the semantics of HTML and ARIA. And if we're using this right, if we use the richness of this semantic power, we are in the yellow area, meaning we have kind of a good quality and good effort, at least. Maybe we are better, we are in the green area, and the green area is the last part. What does the green area mean, or how can we get into the green area? And let's look at our developer side again. Yeah, there's a lot of going on here, and if you want to be in the green area where the effort increases, you have to do a lot of stuff. And I'm only talking about the stuff you are doing as a developer, not the stuff that designers have to do, like color contracts or content creators have to do, or if you have some videos, you have to provide videos with subtitles and so on. I'm only talking about the stuff you have to do as a developer. And this is proper testing strategy. You have to test, and you have to ask some question. What kind of browsers do I have to test? What operations do I have to test? What kind of assistive technologies do I have to test? Even what kind of assistive technologies are there? What content do I test? Most of our web applications have dynamic content, so we have to choose, and what kind of devices, and so on and so on. And you have many, many questions, and it is clear you cannot test all these combinations. And the more you test, okay, the more increases the effort, and the more you are sure that you have a mostly accessible application. But in the end, if you look at this picture, all you can influence is this step, where you translate the mockup into HTML and ARIA. And if you do a good job here, you have to know the richness of these languages. You have to know the richness of HTML and the semantical richness of ARIA. And if you're doing a good job, then yeah, you are almost in the area, even if you do not come up with a proper testing strategy. Anyway, if you, for example, if you want to test with media, so it's always good to have a person that really needs media, because otherwise you come to a conclusion that maybe not right. This again. I'm a person, I like to hear music. When I'm on my way to the office, I often hear music. And it's only a few years ago when I switched from consuming music via my MP3 files to streaming provider and music streaming provider. And I'm this kind of guy, I have one playlist with all my favorite music in there. And I play this playlist in the shuffle mode, and I do the skip, sing, until there is a song that fits that. And if you ever have collected MP3 files, you know how hard it is to maintain all the text and all the colors. And it's so nice if you see this application with all the artists and the song titles are proper filled. You can see the cover, and even if the cover is white and the text is also white, they do some filtering on there so that it's really good that you can see this. I'm on my way to the office. I hear music, and one day, it's Wednesday, I'm going to Kiel because I have some colleagues in the Kiel office. And now the problem, I was in a project where daily starts at 9 in Kiel. And about 7, I was leaving my home, 15 minutes to the office. I grabbed a car, a company car, there because the car I have is for my wife. And then with the company car, I go to Kiel. And I connect my mobile phone to the car, and I can hear my music in the car. And that is very nice. But since I'm always late, I have to be very fast. If I now want to hear the music, I cannot watch on this beautiful screen in the car, because I have to focus. On the street to not cause any damage. And there's a very tiny detail in the car, the steering wheel. And there's a detail you may not notice. It's this one. I like this. And one day I realized the car is an assistive technology for me, because I'm blind when I'm on my way to here. I cannot see the application, I cannot see these beautiful colors and the text on it, but I can use my thumb to do the skip, sing, and to hear the music. And I was very excited when I found out, oh wow, this is accessible just for me. I'm using assistive technology, not for testing purpose. I really need this in this situation. And I was thinking, how do they do this? And then I remember that there's something here in the specification, the rel attribute. Do you know the rel attribute? You can put this attribute to lists. And in the specification says something, okay, if you are in a list context and you want to reference the next logical link or the latest, then you can use the rel attribute with next. Yes, it has to be the next attribute. They are doing this exactly like that. And I was very excited. I learned something new. And then I investigated, and it turns out, no, it's just a button. And on the button, you do not have this word entry. This was kind of disappointing. But this example shows how much power we already have with the semantics of HTML and ARIA. Just do not use it. And this is why they have to come with a custom solution for making this connection from the car to the music streaming application. And the reason why we fail with this, I guess, is because we do not know so much. This is what we know, and this is what we do not know when it comes to HTML. Because there are so many special use cases you have to learn. And if you think about it, let's have a look. We have so many elements in HTML. We have 120 attributes, and we have many values and proof and next. And when it comes to ARIA, okay, we have more, and even CSS we have to master. There are 770 properties and values more or less. And now compare this to Java. 70 keywords. I do not know if you are a Java developer or if you ever have developed something, but does it feel if you do not know what an interface is? If you do not know what an enumeration is, and if you never ever heard of checked private, I guess the stuff you have to do, you will master it, you will succeed in some kind of way, but your application is used only on classes and everything is public. And this will be a very, very poor architecture. And now compare this. If this is so huge about what you do not know, yeah, okay, then you end up in our application. And here, this is more to learn than there. I think if you learn a real programming language, so to speak, it takes longer to get into the context. But when you have learned the concepts, then you are fine. Here, it's easier to achieve the first goals. But to get to know all the details, you have to be some moments where you realize, I will never forget about the red next attribute because I had this limit. And you need this for most stuff because many things are the edge cases where you need this, but they are important. The second and last point I want to focus on in my accessibility talk is the part here which I think is most underrated. And this is this cognitive part here. And as a spoiler, you cannot fix this with semantics of ARIA. And now I want to make a little experiment with you. I'm going to show you two websites. Okay? There are parts of websites, not the whole website. And you should find out the difference. Okay? Then go. Sorry, it's German. Sorry? Most of them are German. Yeah, most of them are German, right? Okay.
The left one looks like it's a backend developer trying front end.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, but I think you get the idea. They show the same stuff. Yeah, the football game. But on this side here, we have a very technical approach. You can smell the database. every label. And here you have a domain-specific approach. And I hope you notice the website B. I think you recognize very much faster what is shown than there. So if you build an application like this, put a lot of cognitive load to the users. And this is special when you're doing some expert application that you as a developer have no idea what the is about. I guess most people won't who are into football will never do something like this. But the problem is when you build some expert application and you do not have an idea. And there's one famous example where a domain-specific approach outruns a technical approach. And this example is email. Email is very technical. Every email application I know, there's create a new email button. And then what pops up? Form. This tool field, you have the CC field, subject, and then this big field of message. And if your email application is accessible, is usable, then somewhere there's a button for the address book. You can pick the user so you do not have to type the email address on your own. Most of them are. But then what's the case? They could have created WhatsApp the same as me, like create a new WhatsApp button. But they didn't. Why? What is the thing you want to do? You do not want to create mails. You want to communicate. And that is where all the messengers put the user in the center. First, choose with whom you want to communicate. And of course, under the hood, you're creating something like WhatsApp. But this is so a little different and it has so much impact. Here, mail is the center, and here, people are. And even email is much more featured. If you have, think about it, if you have a mail at Gmail, if it works like the messengers, you only can communicate with people who have an email account at Gmail. And if you have an email account at GMX, you can only communicate with people that have an email account on GMX. This is how messengers work. If I do not have WhatsApp, I have Smart, for example, I can only talk to users who have Smart. So this approach is less featured, has less features, but in private communication it offers because they speak more the language of the user. The center is people, your bodies you want to communicate, not something technical like me. And I think we as developers, we are so trained, we are so good at engineering stuff. We like complicated problems, we analyze them, we use abstractions, we divide them into parts, and we're able to conquer these parts. And then we end up with applications that look like this, that reflect the model we use. But in the end, it turns out that the user is something like that. And that is very different. I like Lego a lot, and I have a son, and he has many, many Legos. And he has not only the Legos that he collected in his younger life, he also liked the Legos from his elder sister, who had a time where she was into Lego when there was some frozen stuff, but she's not anymore. She gave her her Legos to her younger brother. And here's also my own Lego that were stored at my parents' house, and even from my brother and my sister, I paid them out and said, okay, let me grab all the Legos. And my son has really, really many Legos. And his bedroom is sometimes full of all of this. And I requested him, yeah, look, you have those beautiful boxes. Can't we put the Legos into the boxes? I cannot work here anymore. I cannot read to them. And one day he said something to me that really took me by surprise. 7 years old. I was requesting to organize the Legos like this, all over the floor. And he said, but Dad, then I cannot play anymore. And I realized that this was my world as a parent. In my world, bricks have to be sorted like that. But for him, my son, bricks have to be sorted like that. And believe me, there are many unfinished. It is horrible. And I think we, as developers, sometimes have the same illness. We are so proud of what we engineered that we bring this solution directly to the user and do not speak their language. This is actually something that is really human. And sometimes it's very hard to argue with all the engineers who are so trained on their model. Yeah. This solution requires much cognitive load for the user. It's not, and it's easier to handle, and it's more efficient. Efficient is one important thing in your products. If user can use the product efficiently, then they are faster, and so the usability will increase, and sometimes even the money. Three takeaways from my talk. The first thing is improve your knowledge of HTML and ARIA. This is an ongoing task. You are not ready. Because the more you know about these two languages, the better you can build your applications, your sites, whatever. Second, always take care of your trees. There are two of them. Remind them. And semantically rich trees are healthy. And people need healthy trees. That is not only true in the real world, it's true in the front-end world as well. And the last, know and speak the knowledge of your user. And I want to finish with a very famous quote from Martin Bretschneider. An interface is like a joke. If you have to explain it, it's not that good. And that is true for all users, even if they rely on assistive technology or not.